Councillor Manzer, Councillor Tudor, Councillor Thurber, myself, and regrets from Deputy Warden Ross. I'd like to call the pause to seek guidance, please. And next is the approval of the agenda with any additions or deletions. I would like to add an addition under business items, and it would be Scallop Days. Is there anything else from anyone? Okay, would someone like to approve the amended agenda, please?
I'll move the approval of the agenda.
Seconded.
As amended, yes.
August 10th.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Next is the approval of the minutes of June 8th, 2021. Is there any errors or omissions?
I see no errors or omissions, so I approve the minutes. June 8th.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Unfinished business from the minutes of June 8th. Anyone will have anything they want to bring up?
No. All good.
Okay. So the next is the CAO report. You'll see that in September, the 7th is bylaw and policy, the 14th is committee of the whole, and the 28th is council. All bylaw and policy is at 6. Committee and council are both at 5. There's no meeting on the 21st.
Actually, that's an error. Bylaw and policy is supposed to be at 5.
Oh.
It was at 6 because we were going to have TIR, but due to the size of the agenda that evening, we had to postpone TIR.
Oh, okay.
Bylaw and policy. So that 7th is at 5 p.m.
Oh, thank you.
About that.
By the 7th, they'll be done all their work. The election will be over. They'll have no complaints at all. That's my prediction.
Uh-huh.
They're even doing the sides of the roads in the island after all those years of promising. I can't believe it.
Now, under the Digby Marketing and Promotion Levy, we will be discussing the timeline for the bylaw in the fall of 2021 for that levy.
Yep.
And will we be meeting with the town at the same time for that?
No, I think that one is going to be internal,
Okay.
just to get our thoughts and then to talk together, because we do have to kind of go through that process, but just on where we're at.
Okay, and then the next was the AIM network, or asset management. And there was a presentation made at our June committee, and then work continues on its file.
AIM.
On the coastal protection, there has been a release of dates for consulting, and 3 more just came up 2 days ago for September. And I was trying to see what areas they meant for, but it wouldn't show me.
Must have missed
I don't
that.
know if I did it wrong or what, but I went in just to see.
Yeah, I think those ones are generic. Like, I was able to sign up for one of those.
Okay.
I think they got some feedback. I think we'll see in some of our correspondence that the tight timelines and the restrictions on attendance didn't go over well.
Well, it's a bit hard to do what they wanted, and so I thought, well, that's why I looked to see where it was, and
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you, because that was my problem. I couldn't tell what areas, but if it's generic, because I think they're going to find there's quite a few concerns.
That's it. I think a number interested in attending the sessions, right?
Yes. Our rural internet, Bell continues to work on their projects, and Mainland is still largely in the planning stages of theirs. Barton School, we will be looking at a meeting for late September, and I believe we'll be discussing that at our bylaw and policy.
I'm glad that there's a project like this because by golly, do we ever need it.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of money up there right now.
Maybe I should get the Westporters on some of that money. Maybe. I'll talk to you
There's
next
apparently, I'm going to be, I have a bunch of minutes that I'm going to be sending. I was going to send them to Pat, but maybe I'll send them out in advance to everybody. But there's a potential, we're not sure what it means, but there's $10 million. So we don't know if that means it's up to $10 million for a project, or if it's $10 million for
all of them.
Canada, the Maritime. I mean, because $10 million over Canada is nothing.
No. Even
So-
over Nova Scotia, it's nothing.
Well, it's better than a
Better
kick.
than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than a kick. Well, not much better. We can spread it over the province.
Madam Warden, the preliminary work for the public meeting in September, will that get pushed ahead if there's an election called, federal election, or are we gonna go ahead with it anyway?
Well,
If early September, first week of September, if they call federal election,
that will be 6 weeks, isn't it?
probably would be like early October, right?
Yeah.
So if we have it this late September, that won't,
I feel like
still
we
go
can
ahead
do
with
that.
our.
I feel like we can still do
Yeah.
that.
I have confirmed, so I think some of the preliminary was, we still, to make sure we can do this and go ahead and only plan once
Yeah.
for it, it needs to happen in the arena, just to make sure we can comply. So we need to squeeze in after
Before the
summer day camp and before the ice.
Yeah.
So we have
Window.
a relatively, and it's not that cold in there in September. Like
No.
it gets
No.
kind of uncomfortable in there later in the fall as well. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, so we should be able to go ahead with our.
Yeah, that's the hope.
That's the goal. Okay, any questions on anything of the CAO's report? Just to remind everyone, there's been another Zoom meeting and another letter sent to the Minister of Fisheries voicing concerns and requesting a virtual meeting.
You partook of that Zoom meeting? You didn't get that?
I actually was not on that Zoom meeting.
Oh.
Coralie was on it, and where was I? Oh, when I got on it, they were off.
What's the pressure? Is the pressure on up there, or what's the skinny? I haven't heard lately.
The concern is the situation between the indigenous fishermen and the non-indigenous.
Well, I know that.
That is the concern of the municipalities because of the.
I'm just wondering if it could have come to a head like it did last year. Hope not.
On the news coming up, they were mentioning about in the Maritimes how a lot of the officers were being redistributed to Southwest Nova because of the St. Mary's Bay fishing thing.
If I could, I think there's starting to be some arrival of vessels, is what has triggered
That will do
renewed
that.
conversations between Soniaville and the Weymouth Wharf.
And I think there were some vessels cut loose in Weymouth North.
Yes.
There was,
Nine.
right? So
Yeah.
there's activities going on.
So it's, it's building, it's starting to.
Yeah, and that's the concern, exactly that it's building. So I think that's why, with the fear of an election being called very soon, I believe
That's
the thought was
they're going to do what I did with
before an election is called, and then it'll be more challenging.
But
Yeah.
there is a concern.
They're all gonna, everybody's going to turn it up to 11 when there's an election. That's what I
Well,
Yeah.
It's too bad.
I mean, as you remember, our concern is for our community
Yeah.
safety.
Yes, of course it is.
We have to look at it as a municipal. We have no say
My concern
in who
is
should fish or who shouldn't fish,
No.
or when they should fish or when they shouldn't fish. And we can all have our opinions, but that is not the place to be when it comes. I mean, as a municipal government, we can have no opinions on what the feds have made a decision of, or the Marshall decision. Yes, David.
I just think that the federal government bears an awful lot of responsibility when it starts pushing people together as though, Joe from Eel Lake and Bob from Freeport are going to solve the problem out on the water. That, that's the real kicker in all this. Absurd. Sorry.
Mhm.
I could go on for another half hour, but I won't because sorry.
Okay.
That's all right. So next for the departmental reports, Manager of Municipal Services gave his report. Was there any questions or concerns?
No.
Does anyone remember a staff barbecue?
Staff barbecue.
I had to just.
I've never gone to anything in 10 years. I'm sorry, everybody.
I feel like we invite you every time.
It was staff. Seriously, I didn't see any real questions on municipal services, corporate services. Did anyone have any questions on corporate? That's Coralie.
No.
The only thing I wanted to point out was that if you look at the tax sale numbers,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
they're
gonna
different.
ask.
so we're down. This is a good,
Yeah.
this is a very good phenomenon. So
wonderful-
there's been a lot of work that started going back probably 3 years ago with payment plans and really working with people before they got to tax sale, right? With Nicole and Coralie, there's
Love
been
that.
a lot of work gone into that. So a lot of this is seeing some of those things because of the 3-year cycle kind of on the tax sale. It takes some time for those efforts to show, but this is a very good sign so far.
I got to really point out how much I appreciate that staff takes time to hook people up with the low income tax rebate and the elderly tax rebate for the province.
And that was listed in somebody's report.
Yeah, it was. It was written on it. I just want to say how great that is. I don't think that is common across the province at all. To make sure that the people who need it the most are applying for these programs. Then it makes a difference too for.
Remember the busy eating and cooking.
Yeah, I love that.
I think Pat and Miranda do an excellent job on that.
Another thing that might be.
And I'm sure
Oh,
Mary
sorry.
does too.
Another thing that might be.
I mean, Marcia. Mary's her sister.
Another thing that might be in action is that a lot of the marginal properties that were the types that you would build your taxes up are suddenly worth money. And so I think that might be another reason why that's going down.
Well, I sort of agree with our CAO. If you're working with someone and it shows and it takes that long, that's the show.
Get it before it becomes a crisis.
Yes.
That's the key.
Now, the next, was there any other questions on corporate services? Now, the building department report, I was shocked at the,
Yeah.
People that don't get
okay,
permits on the islands.
it's the next piece when he talks about the building properties.
Yeah, look at that. Eh?
Dangers on site.
Yeah, that'll be coming up later in the year.
Oh, I thought that was in the report that I read.
Construction.
That's the next.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, I noticed we do have a lot of building going on.
Yeah, we did a lot more
And,
than normal.
Yeah.
Island is full.
The building out home, I see he's got that really well done. I mean, it's been a 2-year thing. Angela?
No, I was just curious, based on last year's or 2 years ago, is it up or?
I'd have to check for a comparison. It is hard to compare year to year. Well, so last year's a tear.
Yeah.
If we back out the projects behind us, and it is difficult where one or two big value houses, I would say the volume certainly, I think I would agree with everybody here, the volume seems like it's up. We'd have to check to compare dollars. And like I said, there's a big mixture there. There's some new builds, obviously a lot of renovating going on, right?
Yeah.
A lot of renovating, which makes sense with the housing market. Most people aren't going anywhere, right? So,
It's just the price.
yeah.
That would scare you. Okay, the next is the airport dispatch. Was there any questions on the airport dispatch or the dispatch call report? I noticed, sorry.
I was just going to say, I like that the little comment about how well the two gentlemen did dispatch when the emergency occurred in Weymouth.
Yeah, one's a relief person and one's a full-time.
So the reliever
That
held
would have
up, their
been-
training was good, and
Well, they've been a relief with us for a long time. I was wondering if we should send a congratulations to the whole dispatch, not because they have done so well. This just highlights it some more.
Yeah.
But I would like to see.
Send them a pizza or something like that. You know, something that people care about.
It's always a pizza, either that or chicken with
Periwinkles.
I will say that's a good idea. I will say we also provided both of the dispatchers with a card and Tim Hortons a card.
Oh, look at that right there.
So but I would like to see our council send a thank you to everyone at dispatch for their hard work and dedication.
Yeah, we are. We're very lucky.
So can I get that as a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a seconder? Is there any further discussion? Anyone like to add to it? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. David, you just beat me to the punch, that was all.
Yeah.
Dog control.
Tyler beat us all.
It's nice on the docket to see that he's done some drive-bys in Weymouth Mills.
Yeah, I saw that.
Weymouth Mills and
He's earning his money,
but he,
man.
at least he's put it in there, he's done the drive-bys.
I like seeing it there too because you can just.
Yeah.
I like that's right there. Owner bitten by own dog. I like that one. Spoke to owner.
Did he call
No
the
action taken.
Did he call the dog control guy when the old dog bit him?
Well, no, it looks like the complaint came from an official source.
It must have been the hospital. They must have a policy to that's maybe injures. No, I don't think.
Most
Who
people
would
will
have?
tell you who bit them.
RCMP
Whether
owner bitten
it's,
by own
whether it's
dog.
other people or not.
The neighbor called the cops on him. This guy's out here getting bitten by his own dog.
But anyway.
You can't like bite somebody else if he bites his own.
I know, or is he a real bad owner?
Or was he unwell? Did he have quills? I mean, there's all those questions.
It's funny
We
that
don't know what's
you know,
going on.
spoke to owner, no action taken.
All right, the next is the coordinator program development. And that's by Rob. And what I did want to bring up, and it was brought to my attention that we had asked about looking at the heritage members, and then we did not personally follow it up as a council. Like, we know we have a lot of members on 5, and I know 1 is going to step off. That means we would get 1 renewal, but I'm wondering if we should be looking at 2 people being replaced this year, and then look at another 2 in the next year or year and a half, whatever, and then the last one, just to.
I have no
It ends
problem
up
with that. It seems to me that most of them have been there for a long time.
Oh,
I think,
yes.
I know you may not have your notes with you. Do you remember, I know you met with Rob to discuss the membership.
Yeah, we had met about it. My understanding was Rob was going to start replacing 1 at a time because essentially the majority of the members have been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, but it would be to replace everybody at once. Was gonna
No,
be,
that even I understood, but I was thinking
But that
it
was
could
my
be more
last
like
update,
2.
so
It
I'm
was
not sure.
discussed at the meeting about other people stepping down, and practically all of them agreed to step down.
Anybody?
Whether or not we could get any interest.
Me, no me.
I don't even think the ad's on it, but that was my concern, that will we get anybody, but basically they all agreed that they weren't.
But, so it would make sense though to have 2 this time,
That's
and
right.
then,
And I tried to explain to them that it was the policy, like they.
yeah,
Yeah.
is that,
they
they've been
didn't
excellent.
understand, and they just been staying on it.
When is the next Heritage Committee meeting?
We don't have any set date, I don't think. I think Rob calls one.
Yeah, it's only, it's different.
There wasn't any date set, was there?
No,
No.
you mentioned about the presentation, did you have?
Yeah. Or somebody from the Sam Langford Center coming to answer questions, but they never.
Okay, well, I think if everyone's comfortable with this, we'll work on this from the staff perspective,
Thank
but
you.
if you could both be ready to speak to it, that we're probably looking for 1 more, we might as well try and replace 2 at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, if we're collecting the resumes or people are applying, we might as well appoint,
That's
like,
right.
advertise once and try and get 2 people at a
show
time
on the
instead
road.
of just finishing 1, and
Yeah.
then we're advertising again, like
That's
you
right.
say, and, yeah, we'll start there and then see, like you say, how we grab it.
Yeah, that's right.
And I do want to say I came off as being aggressive. I didn't mean it to be aggressive.
Don't worry, Linda, none of us are pushy at all. None of us.
But no, but here's what I feel. I think we need to do better at our own follow-ups as a
That's right.
council. And so I think from now on, what I'm going to do is go through the minutes and have some, like, minutes to just so that we
Keep
can
an
follow
eye
through.
on them.
Because it's not fair to staff, to suddenly be pushed and asked, and it's not fair to ask when we don't know what's happening, because we didn't follow through.
That's right.
So that's a council.
I follow up on my motions that I make here, for sure.
It's a policy, that's
Recently.
right. We should be following it in every committee, because not just use it when you're trying to.
Yeah, but I mean,
Somebody else?
any of our, no, I'm just saying, sometimes things it's gone on and we sort of lay it down and.
You do forget,
And then it comes up at a weird time when we should have been following it through in the first
Two of them
place.
were on in 2004. I'm confident of that. 2004, two of those members.
And I think
Oh my God, that long they've been there.
this committee in particular
They've
is
been a good
administered differently.
Mhm.
So that has been brought to management's attention, and it is now being administered differently or properly.
Yeah.
Right? This committee is administered differently than all of our other committees are administered by a set schedule and a plan. So, like I said, that has been addressed.
Yeah, and like I said, I just wanted to let staff know, and I know it's being televised, that council can fall down sometimes, and I would like us all to make sure when we look at
I
the
think we could
minutes.
be more systematic about checking
Yeah,
our stuff,
and
maybe.
go through those minutes and have it that we will be bringing up.
Because I only check on things that's, I think about, whatever happened with that, maybe it'd be better to do a little more
I think we all tend to do that, even though you go over the minutes, it's in your head, and then we need to do that right. All right, next is and was there any other questions? Okay. Was the Renewable Energy and Climate Change Coordinator, and that was Terry, and it was the
Scotia Airways.
the anaerobic digester. It says, is this a different project is what I wanted to check, at the Maple Ridge Lodge?
So that has nothing to do with us. That is just
Okay, I'm sorry.
an excess of information that was supplied in the report.
Okay, because
Okay, yep, I know. It's very easily to not understand why that information is there.
all right, because I was thinking I had misunderstood something, and I just wanted to. Okay. And under our wind development, I think we are slowly getting back.
It's very slow back and forth with Nova Scotia Power. We do anticipate talking to you this fall. It's just been very.
And is there any other questions? And if anyone notices any of their lights out, please inform the staff here, so that, because right now Terry's got one, but I know there's one in one of my areas, because I drove by and I thought, oh, that light should be fixed. And
I used to get complaints all the
so
time.
I'm just saying, if you notice and you jot it down and then call.
The new ones seem to be a lot more reliable, because I used to get a lot of calls about lights, and I never get calls the last few years.
Well, it's because they're LED.
Better.
But I'm just saying, if you notice, because it's like anything else, something can go awry. Okay, and then the last but not least was our trail coordinator. And
I like that he did where was it? Bear Cove. I like that little bit.
I can just say,
I'd be curious to see a copy of that. That's allowed for me to take a look, because the last couple of plans I saw made I really liked. I just like to give them a good. I like looking over them.
He's still working with the committee there on the finalizing that.
They are there.
And with the landholders, lease.
Yes,
we're the
heirs of
leaseholders.
Yeah.
and my only concern in this weather that we've been having, whether it's hot and humid, is just none of our staff suffer heat exhaustion.
Yep.
Because that's very easy to happen. You start off with some cramping, you get out of the heat, and you got to drink water, or the better thing would be
See, that's why I stay on the islands, man. I don't gotta worry about them.
Well, I'm just mentioning, I know they know what they're doing. I'm just saying, my concern is this weather is so heavy, and I
It is,
know,
isn't it?
I walk around thinking I'm gonna drop dead.
Especially back where you are,
Chest
Becky,
from
it's
this
awfully
weather.
hot.
So no, we do meet with both outside teams
Yeah.
when we get into stretches like this and make sure they're aware of that and have some plans for what they're doing because of those potential issues.
All right. So, our next piece,
Yeah, lots of stuff on that. They've been busier than usual.
okay, the next was the dangerous and unsightly. I was totally,
Yeah.
I don't ever remember there being that many.
that's what I mean.
Is this
I was
new people that are like?
No, so this is essentially just an update of all the ongoing files and where they sit, just to let you know, like a yearly update.
Oh,
Okay, I
okay.
like this, actually.
That's, yeah, we've been trying to get, because I know in the past, we've only had, when we've got to have a
Yeah.
demolition, so we've been trying to work towards some reporting, or just to keep council in the loop that this is a very active file, even though we're not doing demolitions, right? We
Yeah.
don't want to do demolitions.
No.
But
Well, you have to,
but
You gotta-
again, I think
yeah.
as you've said, this highlights just the high level of activity in this file this fall, that I think some of it can be contributed to because of the shutdown and we seem to have a long spring, that the leaves took a long time to come out of the trees, and people were locked at home at the same time. I think spring
Yeah.
was a very active, complaint-filled time, that maybe that's a trend we'll continue to see, but I think for this year, I think there is some COVID influence over the volume here, right, which is a pretty high
Okay.
volume.
like, I'm always surprised when the province owns something, or I consider them under the province the second group. The only thing I was gonna ask about was down further. It's the one that they decided not to, it's not, does not meet dangers unsightly. I didn't quite understand it. So,
I think he's trying to sell the house, so he called and said that he was having trouble selling it because it was looking into the junkyard. And so he called me and he also called Alfred Alfred said he was gonna go check because it's.
So I guess I can jump in there,
Okay.
'cause I was a little bit involved in that one. So environment dangerous and unsightly is our rules, but environment has rules for salvage yards, as we've discussed in different.
Yes.
So Alfred went out and checked, confirmed with environment, they are compliant, they are current, that nothing has changed on that site, and that there's nothing that would be dangerous and unsightly. They're compliant with all the provincial rules. There's nothing that meets the dangerous and unsightly rules.
so, and it says 30 or more years, I assume it's a new owner?
No, I think as a township. So the mother had owned the property. The son is trying to sell the property and feels like there may be
Did he give her a chance of higher
Okay,
fences?
okay. Again, I think this is an excellent thing what they've done, and I
Right.
take my hats off to you and Alfred for having this done. Any questions on any of these dangers unsightly besides what I have?
I do like the new process, or delivery of information.
Yes. I still feel sorry for him for the wording he gets from some people.
Get every word name in the book, man.
The
Something
next,
about the book.
under business items, was the proper burial of euthanized pets. Now, this came to me from the vet in Annapolis, and it's Dr. Jody Cunningham. And her concern, of course, as she was saying, about water courses, that it could happen,
Maybe something for the coastline, I was thinking.
how would we put it in the coastline?
I don't know, she was just talking about intelligent disposal of pets. She wants us to, spread the word.
I was thinking more about our Facebook page,
Oh, there you go.
but I would like staff's concern or question.
I think we could put it on the second part of this, I think that is, she calls it the guide.
Yes.
That information, we could put that on the website under our dog, somewhere in our dog folder or dog page.
Sounds good. Yep.
And then we could direct people there through to the Facebook site, right?
I think
I think that's a good.
If she made the trouble to write us this, I feel like we should disseminate it.
And then I would, again, like a letter sent back to her that we are gonna put it on, or piece of it on our website, and it will be on our Facebook page as well, so that she knows. So
Good.
could I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Is there a seconder for that?
Second.
Is there any further questions or concerns about it? Angela? No? Okay, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is September Committee of the Whole.
So I didn't want to discuss this in my meeting updates and reminders. I made it a separate. So the September Committee of the Whole conflicts with our strategic planning session, and the strategic planning session has zero flexibility right now. So we're starting.
What dates was our strategic planning?
We'll circulate an invite and the commitments on that once we.
Yeah.
I guess we needed to finalize this decision. That's why you haven't got anything from us on that evening, because you would have.
I would say we just don't have a September Committee of the Whole.
That would be my suggestion as well.
What does council feel? Because
Sure.
we'll be doing the strategic plan, and I think we could miss one Committee of the Whole, same as we have done.
I will dry my eyes.
Okay, so do you need a motion on that?
No, I think as long as we're agreed, and like I said, you will get an email from us now in the near future blocking that. There's a time that evening and then the next day.
What dates were what's that
The
again?
14th and the 15th of September. The evening of the 14th and all day on the 15th.
And our business items, 4.3 is Digby Scallop Days.
I'm sure it's canceled.
And I thought Digby Scallop Days did an excellent job. And I would like to see a letter sent to them on how well they they did it under the COVID rules, spaced things out, very family orientated, the whole thing. Kept it, the numbers, required mask. I was super impressed with how well they did.
I move that we make a motion to communicate our excitement how well the Scotland is stuff.
I just think they did
Or
such a...
approval, I don't
We're not gonna send them a pizza?
know. Scallops on it. Terry Michael, you just gotta give me notice.
We're
10
gonna-
minutes. is all I
Okay,
need.
we're gonna send them a nice congratulatory letter on, they did, it was
Congratulations, sorry.
fantastic.
There's the word I'm looking for. Good.
Any other comments? Or is there a seconder to that?
Second.
You can't second and move.
I know, I'm trying to.
All in favor?
So Scald Days last weekend?
This past weekend.
I was gone, I didn't.
It was so well done. I spoke at the opening and the closing, and so did Ben.
Was it well attended, lots of people out?
They kept it within their guidelines, yes.
Ours
They
was
spread things out of purpose, like they had music at the bandstand, so that there would be some people there, but then they did like a scavenger hunt out at Jagger's Point with the pirates. Their pirates they bring in, and they are the most fantastic guys. They talk to the old people, they talk to the kids, they talk to the pretty girls, they talk to, I'm just saying, and it's
the funny looking
so-
guys.
whatever. No, but what I like is, I have been to other festivals, and sometimes their characters are not really good with the kids. They are fantastic. They gave out their, what's the figure, it's supposed to be gold.
The balloons?
Yeah, but they called it an 8.
Pieces of 8.
Pieces of 8.
Spanish galleons.
Yes.
Yes.
And the kids were excited, and then they got a chocolate dollar, like, in a foil, and they got a little coloring book. And, oh, yeah. I mean, they had these things. They had story time with them. Like I said, I was hoping I was little again. Because it was so much, it was fun, and they're already working on next year. So I really felt it was well done. And I know I didn't put this on, but I did want to ask, how did Spring Waves?
Breaking Waves, it wasn't as well attended as you would have hoped.
Okay.
Yeah, they lost some money on it. But we'll hear all about that next meeting. I just
Okay, no,
just got the email.
I just meant
It was a little tough. Next year they're not going to go with the 10.
It's 113 tickets, they only allowed 150 people.
Okay.
But it wasn't well attended.
No.
But neither was 2019, so you would have to do it for the $30.
There was also a little bit of, I feel like there's still a little bit of discomfort about people coming down from like Halifax or Ontario. Like I was told, like somebody came here from Digby. Like, yeah.
Wow.
Somebody actually told me that. Digby in Halifax, someone from Ontario, I was told. I thought the Digby one, like, come on, guys.
Okay, we're going to go on with correspondence. The first was the Admiral Digby Museum, and they had sent us a thank you.
Bunch of nice press
And they also sent us some before and after photos,
Yeah.
which you saw.
Yeah.
Okay. And the next, sorry. What I like is they let us know what they've done with the money we gave them. I think it's so great.
Yeah, it is, actually. I do like that. I like that they did that.
And it's for a benefit for everyone. It's not just a benefit for, when they're working on this stuff. The next was the PBSC annual report, and that is in the library or in our boardroom. And it's so exciting. I hope you all... and it's available online too. I hope you all take the time to read it.
Was there any information in that? Because I didn't see it
It was boring.
Oh.
But if you cut through it, there's some information.
Was there something that said that our assessment went up? Like in here, is there anything that small? Or is it just
not the individual.
No, nothing. Yeah.
It was just a generic.
Yeah, I was right to not read it closely.
It was hard.
All right, I go there. Good. I'm glad you did it, so I didn't have to. I looked over it looking for something that I didn't find. So, oh well.
I looked it over to see if there was something really that we could look at to see what would help us. But I mean, I understand where it has to be a generic. So the next was our housing needs assessment, and this has come from the NSFM, and they wanted to talk about that they realize that there is concerns with housing, and what, again, one of the concerns is we don't need it downloaded on us.
Yeah, that's
And
I think
that's
so.
the huge
This came out of one of the key recommendations of the housing report was this. They highlighted that outside of Halifax, the statistics on what the actual need is, the information doesn't exist to gather.
Mhm.
So they said these housing needs assessments needs to be done. And I think some of you have already had people within housing organizations say the province has announced like they're going to offer support and potentially funding. So saying, are you guys going to do this? One, there's no actual stream yet, and two, so this is
We're not allowed
actually
to.
very good news that the province is going to commit to,
Yes.
due to pushback from AMA and NSFM, that the province is going to commit to doing these assessments is very, very good. Because this would have been, we would have hired a firm or done our assessment one way.
They're expensive.
Someone else would have, it would have been expensive, and is it going to be
But no,
apples to
we had a
apples? Or?
I saw something like this for Southwest Nova that Dash did about 4 or
3
5
years
years ago. Or was it
Three.
that long? Was it
3,
not?
I would think.
That lady from Yarmouth did it, who's so impressive.
It was 3, maybe 4, but
So
Yeah.
that's it. So like I say, this is
I have
very
seen
good
something like
news that this isn't going to result in a download on us for this step of this.
yeah.
This stuff. All right.
And then the next was the proposed Coastal Protection Act regulation. And in that, they,
Oh yes, that's the thing I didn't click and
Yeah.
register for.
So I
gotta-
believe when this was discussed in July, when I wasn't here, this was the one where there was a restriction on how many of you could attend,
yeah,
and there was very limited sessions. So they got pretty strong feedback on that. So they have added some new sessions. I believe these are all by Zoom.
yes, they are.
Right. So again, I think we've.
Myself, Angela, and
Tyler.
Tyler.
Right, and I'm going to be attending one of the September ones. But now, if you are interested,
I am.
you certainly can follow the link in your package where it says click the link.
Well, is it too late for the one we're on? No?
Here it is.
Weren't we allowed 3 in each session, or 3 total for the 2 sessions?
And I'm
But
gonna.
that they took that. So yeah, you could apply. I think you could try and register
Yeah,
potentially.
they probably let you.
Is it Thursday?
It's the,
Yes, Thursday.
Yeah, there's one this Thursday.
So I'm doing the 7 o'clock. You're doing 2 or 7?
2.
No,
2,
I'm doing
and you're doing 2. So technically, there is openings.
Yeah.
I think we've got to make sure they understand how important our coastline is. And we
Yeah.
don't want it sold out.
No. Especially with that guy that tried to
That's it. And I think it's
close off
important
the road
to
there.
make sure they understand for rural municipalities, especially like, I'm going to comment here, but I've never got a building permit in Halifax, but I'm 90% sure if I walk in to get a building permit in Halifax, I don't walk out of that office with a building permit. And 90% of our customers do, right? It might take you 15 minutes here, but you walk out holding this process is likely going to change that for about 80 to 90% of the building permits we issue, right? Our inspector is going to be, when they establish this zone, it's going to go all up and down Digby Neck, around both islands. Anytime we have a into the Summit Bear River, how far up? They haven't told us yet, but it will be interesting to know, right? Same thing with up the Sissebu River, how far up those rivers are they going to consider them tidal tributaries?
Yeah, no kidding.
But so there is going to be some impact for us and on service delivery, and just making sure they keep that in mind when they give us 6 months or a year, like easing into these things. Like you all know, our residents would like to be eased into these things. So when the province gets talking about doing something in a year or in 6 months, great opportunity for you all to provide feedback on. Just go easy.
I mean, yeah, you gotta take your time, but we don't wanna lose.
No, like you say, the coastal protection, the overall act is still a good thing that we all wanted, and it doesn't have us having to pass zoning, doing our own thing, right? It's a good thing overall, it's just making sure that you work
And
with
what
us to hear our concerns as well.
And what I do like, it will be the same all over the province.
That's it,
It
right?
won't be this way in HRM, this way in CBRM, this way in Digby
Predictability.
Municipality or Digby Town.
Right,
You know.
Income Protection Act, Zoom.
Now, there is no in-camera tonight, so unless someone has something they'd like to bring forward, would someone like to adjourn the meeting? Is there a seconder? All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.